You're tuned into Visions, a business and community affairs program designed to encourage and promote entrepreneurship in Central Alabama.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Vision. Cedric Varner, excited about our guest today, a great friend we've been known for a long time, Mr. Willie Durham with State Farm Insurance. Mr. Durham, thanks for being here with us on the program again.
Mr. Varner, thank you for having me again.
Yes, sir. It's been a little while since we had the opportunity. We're a little overdue, and we apologize, but we want to make up for it now. A lot to talk about today.
Yes, sir.
We all know that you have made sure the community understands that, like a good neighbor, you know, State Farm, and you're going to be there.
Willie Durham is there. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, like a good neighbor.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know, one of the things that we want to talk about and that you wanted to talk about today as it relates to insurance and planning for the future is the 3 Ps
Yes.
of an insurance policy.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about what you mean when we talk about 3 Ps.
Well, a lot of people have purchased insurance most of their lives. It's mandatory in the state of Alabama that if you operate in a motor vehicle, you're required to have liability insurance to be able to cover someone else's injuries or property if you are at fault. But most people have no idea what they're actually purchasing with their policy. So I like to talk about the 3 Ps of an insurance policy. And the first P, if I could talk
Yes.
about, is protection. What type of protection are you purchasing? The state of Alabama have mandatory minimums. However, you need to make sure that you understand what you're buying for protection. And most people have no idea when they call. They just said, I want to buy full coverage. And there's no such thing as full coverage. Each policy have policy limits, whether it's 25,000, 50,000, whether it's 50,000, 100,000, whether it's 100,000, 300,000, or 250,000, 500, or some people buy $1 million limits. Depends on how much assets you have. But the first thing is protection with a policy. The second thing I cover with clients is price. Most people want the cheapest they can. And most people would acknowledge that cheap is not always the best. That everybody wants to have a competitive price, but you don't always want the cheapest price. So you need to know what protection you have, what price you're paying, and then finally, performance. What type of service are you expecting out of that policy? Or the people that may be servicing your policy. What kind of performance you have? Do you have to call a 1-800 number and press 1 for this, 2 for that, and be on hold? Do you call people that never return your calls? What kind of performance are you getting for that price, for that protection from that policy? In my office, try to make sure that we excel in the protection you have, make sure it's adequate for what your risk you have. You may have a lot of assets. So we want to make sure you got protection. We want to make sure that you got a competitive price, getting all the discounts that we have. And we also want to make sure that you're getting great performance, that if you call my office, I'm returning your call, that you have access to me, that you're getting performance. So that's the 3 Ps I try to focus on when it comes to your insurance policy.
Well, when it comes to protection, you know, and I've seen, we have a lot of things going on in the news, and I've seen you post up about some of your clients and they have a natural disaster, something happens, and so you have the ability and the authorization to go out and write a check once you deem it appropriate.
Yes.
On the spot.
On the spot.
Yeah.
State Farm allows its agents to have agency draft authority. If someone has a house fire or they have an apartment fire and they've lost everything they have, well, we're going to get them a place to stay, so a roof over their head for them and their families, and we can give you a check up to $5,000 to be able to go out and buy things of necessity for you and your family. And that's a good opportunity to show good neighbor service to customers in their time of need. Because I tell you, there are some low-cost providers out there, and I always find it interesting, an insurance company can advertise, no driver's license required, and we'll offer you insurance.
Wow.
So they'll take your money,
Yeah.
but when you have a claim, will they pay that claim?
That's good.
So insurance is not worth the ink, that the paper that it's printed on, until you need it. And you don't want to hear those 3 words, it's not covered.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that I'm taking care of my clients, and the agency draft authority is one way I can do that immediately.
And when you talk about it's not covered, one of the things that comes to my mind that that our viewers need to be focused in on is flood insurance
Right.
and the dynamics.
Sure.
It's something that you need to talk to Willie Durham about.
Yeah, and again, most people have a common misunderstanding that I don't need flood insurance because I'm not in a flood zone. According to FEMA, 25% of all floods are in non-flood areas. 1 out of 4. So just because you're not next to the coast or next to water doesn't mean that you're not at risk for flood. Mm-hmm. If we get a downpour of rain in a short period of time, a significant amount, our sewer system is not set up to handle that amount of water at that short period of time. Mm-hmm. So if all the lines back up and the water rises, you could be potentially flooded. Well, there's no coverage on your homeowners for that. So you need to sit down with an agent and talk about, are you willing to keep that risk, or do you want to transfer it to an insurance company for a small thing called premium?
That's good, that's good. Well, we've got a lot of information in the news about, people passing away. Some of them pass suddenly, some of them pass over time. And so I hear you talk about just planning for your future, just a part of our basic responsibility.
Sure. That's one thing that I'm passionate about is life insurance. It's the only policy I guarantee you State Farm will pay. You may never have an auto accident, you may never have a home claim, but one day you're gonna leave here. So I guarantee you we're gonna pay that claim. And so I wanna make sure that your family is the one that's protected. It's 2 times to buy life insurance, Mr. Varner. And I found it to be when you're young, the prices are very affordable, and when you're eligible. Oftentimes people will come in and they're not medically qualified for the purchase that they're trying to obtain. And I hate to tell people that based off your medical history, you are not eligible for life insurance. And they say, what am I gonna do now? What is my family supposed to do now? I'm sorry. So I tell everybody, while you're eligible, just get a quote. You'll be surprised on how affordable it is. So when you're young, the prices are competitive. You're 25 or 27. But if you come in when you're 65 trying to purchase life insurance, it's going to be costly.
That's right.
And you may not be medically eligible.
That's good. Well, when you're out in the community all the time, we see you, and you got like a Batmobile. It's like Camaro. We want to go there. Picture you're subject to see Willie anywhere.
Yes.
Around town, and he's gonna show you. Now, Willie, we were talking before we came out. As far as I know, you're the first guy who had his car wrapped with his picture on the side. Is that correct?
Yeah. In Montgomery, for the insurance industry, I think I was the first person to be bold enough to put my picture on the side of my vehicle.
Amen. Well, that means you're living right, so you could be that bold. Now we got another shot of your studio.
Yes.
This is Command Central. This is where. Oh, okay. Look. Hey, who is that?
Yeah, that's a good neighbor there.
Right,
you can call him 272-9100, or you can visit the website williedurham.com.
That's right.
Yeah,
Great.
That's
photo,
a good neighbor.
And also you got billboards to that effect.
I do.
Around town, we're always happy when we see those. So in case people want to know where you are, we got our American flag out there flying, and
yes, sir.
And that's a good segue for us to talk about your military service.
Yeah, I'm patriotic. I serve.
Yeah,
Not
retired
only did I
U.S.
serve.
Marine.
Say it again, Mr. Varner.
You retired.
Yes, sir.
US
United States Marine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
20
sir.
years of honest and faithful service. And that's my office.
Yeah.
That's where the magic happened. I have a great team that's there to support me when I'm out doing things in the community and some of the boards I serve on. You can't do it alone. You have to have a good team to represent you when you're not there, to make sure that our clients are still taken care of.
And that's one of the things that we want to mention about your staff and your clients whenever we talk to them. Everybody's very courteous, prompt, follow up.
It's important.
And you believe in taking care of your customers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you pay for.
That's right. That's right. Well, when you talk about community service, you've been doing a lot. So, I mean, I'm going to let you go down the list from Rotary Club to Chamber. If we start at the Chamber, so that people have a perspective about you, you're now on the Executive Committee and Vice Chairman of the Chamber. Is that correct?
I am. I'm in the line to be the chairman, January 1st, 2019.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a huge honor. Judge Price is currently our Chamber of the Montgomery Chamber of Commerce. He's currently our chairman, and I'll succeed him. I currently serve on Hope Inspired Ministry Board with Mike Coleman. I serve on the Board for Child Protect with Jana Bailey. I'm a commissioner with the Montgomery Housing Authority. I also serve on the Baptist Health Board with Russ Tyner, and last and not least, but I'm also a deacon in my church at New Home Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay,
And
okay.
in addition to, I'm a father of a 19-year-old sophomore at AUM,
Yes.
and I'm the husband of one wife of 34 years.
Well, keyword, one wife.
One wife.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. Okay, I understand.
Yes,
That's
sir.
Miss Terry.
Yes.
Yes, excellent, excellent. Well, we're very excited about all the work that you do in the community. You know, you're always serving. I've been out to your church and,
Yes, sir.
and heard your pastor preach. He's fantastic.
He is.
And doing great work in the community for the Lord.
Right. Well, one of the things that's important to me is we live here, work here, play here, and worship here. And I think that we all have an obligation to pay some civic rent to be a good community. It's easy to sit back and complain about the educational system. It's easy to complain about our neighborhoods. But I think everybody has an obligation to be good neighbors, to roll up your sleeves and see where there's an opportunity where you can get in and make a difference.
Yes.
So I want this community to be a good community. My family is here. My parents are here. I worship here. So I have a vested interest to make sure that I'm at least doing my part.
And you have an interesting testimony about, you know, growing up and, you know, making the transition from one neighborhood to another neighborhood and on in the military service.
Right. Well, I spent 13 years in Gibbs Village. The formative years of my life was right there in Montgomery Housing Authority at Gibbs Village. And my parents later on in my 10th grade year moved to Willie Park, where they live today. So it's important to me, and that's one of the reasons I serve on the Montgomery Housing Authority, is public housing. Just because you're in public housing, it's not where you start at in life, it's where you finish. And everybody has an opportunity to try to, you know, make their lives better and other lives better. So it's important to me to give back and go back and let people know that your current circumstances does not have to dictate your future.
Amen, amen, amen. Well, we're just always excited about hearing your testimony and the service that you do for the community, and we're going to get ready to wrap up. But we want to go back to, you know, so I want to go back to your Camaro because I like it.
Yes, sir.
And we want to show that. So now do people wave at you when they see you?
Well, they do. They wave, and the other thing I hope they're doing is not waving to tell me to slow down.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Because oftentimes I'm in a hurry, and every now and then it gets a little bit above the speed limit. But that's a rolling billboard. It gets people attention and let them know that I'm available to serve.
And then so when they're looking for you on the Northern Boulevard.
Yes, 943 North Eastern Boulevard.
Excellent. Ms. Durham, thanks for coming to be with us. We enjoyed it as always. We're going to invite you back so we can get some more updates because this is very important information. And that's going to do it for us on this segment of Visions, Mr. Willie Durham, State Farm Insurance. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.